This lion could take down a buffalo 10 times his size. He could face off against a hyena without hesitating for a second. But he's about to make the most painful mistake of his young life, against an animal that won't even try to run. He's a young male, barely 2 years old, recently expelled from his birth pride, as happens to all lions his age. Now he must learn to hunt completely alone, without the guidance of an experienced lioness, without the backup of a group behind him. During his first months of life, his mother and aunts taught him to identify prey, to read the wind, to approach without being detected. But there was never enough time to teach him every lesson he would need before being expelled. Some he will simply have to learn the hard way. The first days have been difficult. He has failed more hunts than he's completed. Impalas are too fast. Wildebeest move in herds too large and organized for an inexperienced hunter. Hunger begins to outweigh patience. He has failed more hunts than he's completed. 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 His ribs are starting to show beneath his golden coat, and each failed hunt leaves him a little more desperate, a little more willing to take risks that a more experienced lion would never consider. Then, as evening falls, he spots a strange silhouette in the low brush. It moves slowly, almost clumsily. It doesn't run. It doesn't hide. To a hungry, frustrated lion, it looks like the easiest prey he's seen all week. It's a porcupine, an animal that rarely exceeds 20 kilos, that moves slowly, that has no sharp fangs or powerful claws. For any experienced predator, it's prey to be avoided entirely. But this young lion has never learned that lesson. No one ever warned him about this particular animal. His mother always kept him away from them by instinct, without needing to explain why. But a lone, hungry lion, without that constant guidance, starts to forget the silent warnings that once kept him safe. He crouches, taking the same hunting posture he's used dozens of times against other prey. He advances slowly through the grass, calculating the distance, the angle, the exact moment for the final attack. The porcupine, meanwhile, keeps walking, seemingly oblivious to the danger. Every step the lion takes is silent, calculated, perfected over months of practice against much faster and more alert prey. In his mind, this seems like the easiest hunt he's attempted in weeks. No need to run, no need for an elaborate ambush. But the porcupine isn't ignoring anything. It has survived countless encounters like this throughout its life and knows exactly what to do when something gets too close. It doesn't need to flee. It doesn't need to hide. Its apparent slowness is, in reality, absolute confidence built on generations of a defense that rarely fails. While the predator calculates his attack, the prey simply continues its routine, almost indifferent. The lion lunges, a fast, direct leap, with all the force of his young muscles concentrated into that single movement. And in the exact instant of contact, the porcupine reacts. It fully raises the more than 30,000 quills covering its body and spins sharply backward. The result is immediate. Dozens of quills sink deep into the lion's muzzle, front legs, and chest. A roar of pain breaks the silence of the savannah, very different from any sound of victory. Some of these quills exceed 30 centimeters in length, covered in tiny hook-shaped barbs, invisible to the naked eye, but devastating when it comes to removing them. The more they move, the deeper they bury themselves into the muscle. The porcupine, indifferent to the chaos it just caused, walks away with the same slowness as always. No need to run, no need to hide. Its defense has already done all the necessary work. It doesn't look back. It doesn't need to check the result of its instinctive reaction. Throughout its life, it has repeated this same movement dozens of times against leopards, hyenas, and even adult lions, and the result has always been exactly the same. The lion staggers back, shaking his head, desperately trying to free himself from the quills embedded in his skin. But they don't come out easily. Designed with microscopic notches at the tip, every movement drives them deeper instead of pulling them out. He rolls on the ground, rubs against nearby tree trunks, tries to pull them out with his hind legs. Nothing works the way he expects. The pain, instead of easing, intensifies with every failed attempt to get rid of them. Over the following days, the pain doesn't go away. Eating becomes difficult, nearly impossible, when several quills remain lodged around his mouth and gums. Every attempt to bite into prey sends a sharp jolt straight to his jawbone. Even drinking water becomes a challenge. Every movement of his muzzle awakens the pain again, and the young lion spends entire hours simply lying still in the shade of a tree, too weak and too sore to attempt another hunt. This is not an isolated incident. Biologists who study wild lions have documented, over decades, a pattern that repeats with surprising frequency. Young males, still inexperienced, constantly underestimate the porcupine, and many end up with wounds that stay with them for life. Some studies suggest that a considerable proportion of lions that die before reaching full maturity do so, directly or indirectly, because of infections resulting from this exact type of encounter. A surprising fact: it isn't rival apex predators that pose the greatest risk to a young lion, but mistakes like this one. Our young lion spends the following days away from any active hunting, seeking shade, licking his wounded areas, trying on his own to pull out the more superficial quills with his tongue and back teeth, the only ones he can still use without extreme pain. He loses weight with every day that passes without hunting. Weakness piles on top of the pain, and for a moment, it seems this mistake of youth could cost him far more than a handful of quills embedded in his skin. Weeks later, fully recovered, the same lion crosses paths with another porcupine on a different trail across the savannah. This time, he doesn't crouch. He doesn't calculate attack angles. He simply stops, observes from a distance, and changes direction without a second thought. He has learned, in the most painful way possible, one of the most important lessons any predator must learn on the African savannah. The size of prey is never a guarantee of an easy hunt. From that day on, every time he spots that distinctive silhouette in the grass, something in his instinct changes completely. He no longer sees easy prey. Instead, he sees the exact reason for the scars he still carries on his muzzle and chest. Over the years, this lion will become an experienced hunter, capable of taking down prey much larger and more dangerous than any porcupine. But he will never forget that first lesson, written literally onto his own skin. Other young lions in the same region won't be so lucky. Some will survive the encounter but be left with permanent scars. Others simply won't overcome the infection that develops in the weeks that follow. The savannah doesn't forgive the same mistake twice. In the wild, survival doesn't depend solely on brute strength or a predator's size. Sometimes, respect for every kind of prey, no matter how small or slow it may seem, is the difference between living many more years or carrying the consequences of a single youthful mistake forever.